Welcome to the 2/22/22 episode of Reactive Consciousness.
Yeah, this is marvelous. This is the best day ever.
Watch some
22,
Sonic
22.
YouTube. Watch some Sonic YouTube poops. Our in-depth podcast about what happened this week in our lives. I'm your host, vysethebold, and this is...
And I'm a host, too. Lotus Prince.
2:30.
That's his favorite time of day.
And the Germans' least favorite time, 9 o'clock.
Get the hell out of here.
And we have another wonderful show, and man, we are hopped up on goofballs, but yeah, it's okay.
Are you hopped up on goofballs?
Hopped up on goofballs, baby. But that's okay. That's okay. We got some pretty cool things to talk about, but also bummer, and one that you could see happening foretold in the sand. But the first major thing that happened this week was that the 3DS and Wii U shop has a expiration date.
Yeah, I believe it's March 2023. 2023. The thing is, though, it's going to be just like WiiWare. Everyone's like, oh my god, it'll all be deleted. No, it won't. It's just that
like
you won't be able to purchase afterward.
Yeah, you won't be able to add funds, but you could still purchase. So like if you have funds still in there, that's what happened with Wii.
The WiiWare. And again, you could still download, I'm sure, if you've already purchased it, like a re-download Correct. Or something. It's just that, like, yeah, you have a year for a completely dead system and for the 3DS, which people are more interested in the Switch now anyway. So, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so probably the bigger shame is probably going to be the 3DS in this one, because there's a lot more content on there than the Wii U.
The Wii U has almost entirely been rescued. The only real concerns of mine are the very few exclusives to the Wii U, but also certain, I think, N64 titles and the DS virtual titles. And also, if you're someone neurotic like me, then the concept of just being able to buy a fucking game instead of having to subscribe to the eShop to be able to buy games. Yeah,
I mean, DS titles is like the big shame of it all, because I don't think there is I mean, there could be an okay solution on the Switch, but like the Wii U really lent itself to at least deal with the fact that it's a system that has a touch screen. The Switch does have a touch screen, don't get me wrong, but it is far less dynamic and far less used than the 3D the DS or the 3DS, because the 3DS and the DS use styli, or whatever. And it was meant for fine movement, and so did the Wii U, but the Switch does not. The Switch was made with finger
like menu button presses and stuff like that,
which is much less nimble. Your fingers are not going to be able to do like fine writing or drawing like you could with a stylus.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. The scary part is probably the stylus or games that are actually on two screens, like Contra 4 or something, but a lot of them probably could be rescued, because you know how a lot of launch titles of various systems make use of gimmicks that may or may not be integral for gameplay. Like a lot of DS games, the other screen is just like the menu, or where map, like you could easily just have the menu be an overlay, like like Zombie U, where when you went through your backpack, the TV screen was just your character rummaging through you can't see what, but the pad was the actual menu. So on the ports, the menu is overlaid onto the screen, and the one and only one disadvantage of that is if there are zombies immediately around you, then you can't see through your menu, but like you're probably not taking the time to do that in a situation like that anyway, unless you're really desperate. So like it makes me think of Chrono Trigger for the DS. That was a Super Nintendo game first, and then they added to the DS. It's like, I don't know, put the menu stuff on the bottom pad or whatever, it's fine. So you could probably deal with that for games that do that, or find ways around. Like Phantom Hourglass had mechanics that were integral to the fact that you were holding a DS in your hand, but they put out on the virtual library. They made a workaround for it, so I feel that a lot of games could be rescued. The question is, will they?
Yeah, and let's face it, a lot of that stuff from that era hasn't aged well. The really good stuff is going to be like the RPGs, the story-based stuff. People are going to want to play Zelda, even though it's, in my opinion, those DS Zeldas are probably the worst Zeldas that Nintendo's ever made.
I've heard that. Never mind. I was going to say I heard that this one was the worst one, but I forgot which one it was.
Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks.
No, I know, but which was the one that, like, I thought one of them was like okay, and the other one was like utterly forgettable. Was Spirit Tracks the forgettable one?
Spirit Tracks is considered to be the better of the two.
Okay, so I had it completely backwards.
Yeah, the second one's considered the better of the two because the first one has a lot of like boring backtracking.
Okay.
And it has a lot of design flaws, but
Wind Waker had that, but they fixed that up for the Wii U at least.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, Nintendo could take this as an opportunity to remake both of them, and then nobody will pine for the originals, which Nintendo is likely to do. I mean, they took the one that probably had the most problems and made it a good version of it, which was Skyward Sword, had the most like technical things to worry about, and it got around them with the Switch version. So they could remake the DS ones and do something with those. But there really aren't many DS games that have made it to Switch. There are a small handful. There are the two Mega Man ZX games, and The World Ends With You. I think that's pretty much it.
The World Ends With You was
did not fare well.
Well, yeah, it was a remake, and you like really should play the system handheld versus docked, or you'll lose features or something.
Yeah, no, it's really bad in that regard. They should have just completely remade how you interacted with that game.
Yeah.
But they tried to replicate, the same kind of mechanics that were in the original game, which was a big mistake. They should have just remade it.
It's a 2-screen game. Like, what are you doing?
They should have just remade it, but I don't know why they did that. Other than they didn't want to pump enough money into it to. They should have just remade it and had different mechanics, just straight up different mechanics than the original game, and that would have been a better move. But still to this day, World Ends With You fans will say that the DS version's the version to still play because of that.
Well, yeah, because it works. It's not even like, oh, the true fans know. Like everybody knows if you've tried the Switch version. It's like, why is this weird?
Now the Mega Man games fared well because the bottom screen was just a map, just like you were saying.
There you go. It's like Fatal Frame made in a black water. Like, having the map and the pad was extremely convenient, but it's not absolutely required for you to be able to play the game.
Yeah.
The previous 4 games had a map toggle.
Yeah, I mean, we can get into in Reactive Consciousness. I want to talk more about specific games that we would like to see. Corrective. About specific games that we want to see rescued and what ones you should look out for, of course. I think that's the bigger shame of it. And the DS was a really fun system. It has a lot of games that have really skyrocketed in value because the people that grew up with that system are now have expendable money, can purchase things, and are also getting nostalgic.
That's always the way.
I thankfully back when it was around had bought everything that I could possibly want for the original DS. There's very few DS games that I still have any interest in that I don't own.
Yeah, like regular DS, I missed out on most of that library, but I don't know how much of it I really care about.
A lot of it hasn't aged well. That's
and same for the 3DS. I have I don't know, like 5 3DS games. Like, I mean, like I went for the Ace Attorney and Layton games. Those games hold up, but like otherwise, I don't know.
Yeah, so well, the 3DS is what we're worried about here because the DSi shop shut down long ago, but we're gonna lose access to those DSi games once and for all, which is another problem too. That a lot of people, nobody's really brought that up. DSi games are going to be completely gone now. Because they had a lot of the really good ones had transferred over to the 3DS shop. So there's a lot of DLC that we're going to lose out on.
Yeah, and could I just mention, by the way, how fucking backwards Nintendo is in regard to 3DS DLC? Because, like, most of it you have to access through the game that you are currently playing, which is an incredible pain in the ass.
Yeah, not only that, but, like, I'm sure it's really hard to keep track of what you have and what you don't because of that,
Yeah, like, there are entire cases in Ace Attorney. I only recently learned about this. In the Professor Layton Cross Ace Attorney game, there's apparently free DLC that only becomes available for you to download once you've beaten the game.
That's fucked up.
Fuck you.
Yeah, that's fucked up. So yeah, we're going to talk about stuff like that, of course, on Corrective. But the Wii U, like you said, has less things that are going to be impacted here, but it's still a big shame until everything makes it out. Now, I believe almost everything is going that you could ever want from the Wii U will transition, but there's still going to be some edge case stuff, of course. So, I mean, there's still very few things nowadays that hasn't made it off. It's kind of like the Vita. The Vita was really good during a certain point in its life. It had some really cool, scrappy stuff on it. But all of the really cool, unique stuff that was really good made its way off of the system.
The only stuff that hasn't is the stuff that you absolutely need, like the back buttons on the Vita, or like you tilt it like for that Monkey Ball game or something.
Yeah, and to be honest, a lot of that stuff is so specific to the system. Why would you want to play it elsewhere anyway? That's one thing. And another thing is none of it was like a killer app. Like none of that stuff was.
Persona 4 Golden was until it was ported.
Yeah, exactly. The biggest one was Persona 4 Golden, and it did make it. It made it to PC. So, which is really kind of baffling why it didn't go anywhere else. It didn't go to the PS4 or Switch, which is really odd. But I guess it has to do with something or other, but it has to be some kind of contractual thing with Sony. But I think I think that the Wii U is less tragic, of course, because of the way that Nintendo has been transitioning. But the 3DS, one of these days, people are going to be very upset that they can't access that DLC, and they're going to have to resort to piracy, because there's some really great RPGs that got big DLC stuff. And here's another thing, like eventually updates to games aren't going to be available too. And that's a big deal too, because a lot of times they fixed bugs with games and stuff like that. There's also a game. I don't know if anybody else remembers this, but Rusty's Real Deal Slugger is basically a game that's entrenched in purchases. Like it was a mini game compilation that where you had to haggle for the mini games and then actually buy them at the end, which is really interesting. And that entire experience is going to be taken away. None of them were ever very expensive, but it was just like, are you willing to pay $4 for this? No. And then you try to haggle them down to $2 or $1 or whatever. and then you could actually buy it by the end of it, and you can get special coupons. It was really weird, but it was a cool game. It was very WarioWare-esque, but a very weird model that made you play the meta game of haggling in order to get the content, which in the end is very annoying. It's very annoying. Just sell me the game eventually, right? So, yeah, we'll talk more, of course, but got to move on here. The next big thing is I thought for sure we would be able to talk about the Capcom Countdown, because it was happening at 10 o'clock today, but it turns out it was Pacific time. So
it's going to kick in, like, during Corrective?
1 a.m., yeah, at 1 a.m. our time, so...
whatever.
Yeah, so we won't be able to talk about it until next week, unfortunately, so we'll have to get to it then. But I still maintain... do you have any guesses as to what it could be?
I'm not interested enough to guess. Like, when there's news, tell me the news. Don't give me this bullshit about how, there's a countdown. Like, fuck you. It's just, if you have a story, tell me what it is.
Fair enough. Moving on, this was kind of a surprise thing. I would have thought that they would have added this to Nintendo Direct and made a big deal about this, but Crunchyroll got added to Switch. I'm sorry, got added to Switch this week, which is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is legitimately newsworthy.
It's a big deal for a couple of reasons, and Lotus, you may not know about this because you're not a Switch user, but there are not that many video apps on, or non-video game apps on Switch. It's very surprising, the lack of applications on Switch, in fact.
I mean, like, to be fair, I don't pay attention to how many apps are on the PS4 either.
No, but, like, you also probably take it for granted that they're there if you want them, right?
I don't even acknowledge that they exist. Like, I put in a video game and I play the video game. Okay. I don't even know what apps are available.
Fair enough, but on a PS4 there is an app for basically anything you could think of. Hulu, Prime Video, Netflix, YouTube, all that stuff. Okay. HBO Max, even Paramount Plus, like all even the Edge ones, like, like Discovery Plus and things like that are on those platforms, on Xbox and PlayStation, as places to watch those things. And this is how a lot of people get their content these days. We don't have cable at my house. We just pay for subscription services.
Yeah, what's the point anymore?
There is none. There's one major holdout, and it's mostly sports. For a lot of people, and we don't care a damn about sports in my house, so that's not a problem. So Peacock is free, which is where you get a lot of the NBC stuff. It's ad driven, so I'm okay with that. I'm okay with ad driven stuff, honestly.
Well, I mean, we grew up with ads. It's called commercials.
And I want the things that I like to be successful and get paid. So like. Ads are something I've dealt with my entire life. I mean, comic books had tons of ads in them. I don't know if people remember that, but...
Well, you could very easily skip those ads, though.
Well, yeah, but
especially because
magazines
they're for, like,
and comics.
They're for, like, stupid little, like, 1950s, like...
Atlas stuff.
Weird little... No, but also little, like... prank toys, or like you could produce smoke from your
X-ray
fingertips.
Glasses.
Like, yeah, little bullshit $2 things that your parents are never gonna send out money for.
But my point is that the Switch, for a platform that basically made Netflix, like Nintendo made Netflix what it is. I don't care what anybody says.
Oh, you mean on the Wii?
Correct. Everybody used the Wii as a set-top box for Netflix.
Yeah, remember that time there was a Netflix disc for the Wii? Because that was a thing.
I have the PS3 one still.
Yeah, that's insane.
Even funnier. But the reason why Netflix, and therefore all the rest of them, because they all followed Netflix, all the rest of the apps, the app... subscription services, the video ones, all followed Netflix because Netflix trailblazed.
Blow is nice. BLOZE.
Trailblazed that way of transmitting, media to you.
Yeah.
And the first set-top box that was popular was a video game console that everybody had bought incidentally for Wii Sports and basically nothing else.
Yeah,
and maybe Wii Fit.
I was gonna say honorary mention to
Wii
Fit.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like normies, people that don't play video games, had a Wii. People that would normally not be caught dead playing a video game for more than a couple seconds had a Wii. And they started using it for other things, for things that we take for granted now, because we have things like Roku's and other set-top boxes. You know what's real funny is Comcast, when we canceled our cable subscription, you know what they did, Lotus?
They went to your house with armed men.
See, they did exactly the opposite, Lotus. They didn't beg us, which is what we were afraid they were going to do, because that's what they used to do in the old ages. They used to.
Yeah, it's pretty tough to cancel something like over the phone. Yeah.
They used to send you to what was called a retention department, and they used to basically haggle with you and give you basically all that you wanted.
Well, I remember even during college, like when there was the writer's strike, where there was like no point in having TV for the year.
Yeah. Unless you liked reality TV.
Yeah, so like we had like a plan, like a triple plan, which was phone, TV, internet.
Sure. And
I called them up to drop the TV, because like I didn't make use of the phone thing anyway because I had a cell phone. We didn't have a landline.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, how are you going to get your information this way? I'm like, the internet? Like, what about TV shows? There aren't anything I want to watch. Could I just cancel my fucking plan, please? It's very annoying.
Yeah. So they didn't do that at all. They were like, okay, here, use this. And they sent a set-top box to our house. And we're like, here, watch all of your apps on this. You don't have to pay a dime for it. We just want you to use this box.
Wow.
Which means that they get licensing revenue for us using those apps.
Is that the only advantage, or are they the Riddler and they're going to read your mind through the box?
Nice Batman
That's what's
Forever
gonna
reference.
It just raises too many questions.
But see, first of all, they know that we still have internet with them, so they want to keep us on their internet plan.
Yeah.
But they didn't care because they are getting licensing money from like Hulu and Peacock or whoever who needs to pay to have their apps on those set-top boxes, but works out for everyone involved as a result.
It doesn't prey upon the customer, and the customer isn't even their source of revenue anyway. So like the companies aren't gonna pick and choose based on individual houses. So that really is just, and not to mention they're not actively pissing off the customers by trying to like work away at them to get them to cancel their plans anyway. That really does work better for everybody.
But this is why I find the Switch so baffling. Before Crunchyroll, there is one video service on Switch, and it is YouTube.
Oh, so it's not Netflix.
There's no Netflix, there's no Hulu, which are the two dominant ones. There's no Prime Video, which is, the third one. And there's no Disney Plus, there's no HBO Go. Like, those are all the big ones, right?
Yeah, that's kind of shocking.
None of them are on Switch. None of them. And that is very surprising. It's very surprising. And you know what? The YouTube experience on the Switch is actually really good if if that's something that, that is important to you. Of course, there are a billion things you can watch YouTube on, including your phone, but the Switch screen is bigger than your phone.
Yeah, it's tablet-ish.
Yeah, and there's a kickstand mode for if you're, you want to set it up on your table, your kitchen table or something while you are away from a TV or a computer screen. So it's easy to use, everything involved, including the keyboard and all that crap. So like it is a good experience, and you can of course link it up to your YouTube account. So like you could do a lot of consumption from that. In fact, before I had a second monitor, while I was working, I would put YouTube on the Switch while I worked.
There you go.
Off towards the side and use it like a second monitor. So that was a good thing. So it's very surprising that there aren't more apps, and it's really funny that like a very niche one is going to be on there. Like Crunchyroll is the most dominant anime only one. I think it's the only one at this point. Is there a Funimation one, or is that? Or no, they merged, right?
I think they might have.
They merged, so it is the only like anime-focused premium one. I think there's a like a free one, ad-driven one called like Retro something or other, that is just has like old OVAs on it, that kind of stuff, like, but nothing like current and high grade. So, it's very interesting. This is for the anime lover, and Crunchyroll's the only game in town, because otherwise you have to watch, your anime scattered about. Probably Netflix is the second best anime
Netflix
platform.
has a bunch of stuff, but it's not, of course, the anime subscription service.
Yeah, and there are some on Hulu, but nothing really premieres on Hulu like other than maybe like Attack on Titan, I think is on Hulu.
Okay.
Speaking
of which, that show is fucking stressful to watch.
Oh, I can't. I actually want to catch up on it because it sounds like people are really.
Well, have fun. We're on episode like 89 or something.
Yeah. Well, I could deal with that. But anyway, what I'm saying is that it's unusual, but Crunchyroll is a good service, and it is supplying a lot of content. They have a lot of content. You cannot say that is one of their problems. They have a ton of stuff. So I think it's a good fit. I'm glad it's on there. I'm just more upset that there aren't other things that should be on there. You know what should be on there, Lotus? Reader apps. Like, this is a good reading
I was
going
to say Satellaview.
Well, like Comixology should be on here, or Kindle, or Nook. Why
considering that the Switch is a handheld device, like, it really should have like everything. Like as a home video game system, okay, but the fact that people carry their Switches around with them, it really is shocking that stuff isn't on there.
I mean, the Switch can be a perfect, like, if you take the controllers off of it, is a perfect analog to a book if you put it on its side. So like, it really baffles me that they don't want the Kindle app on there, which is like the bare minimum. A lot of people buy content through the Kindle app, or even just through Amazon, and get free stuff incidentally through the Kindle app, because they do that. I find it very strange. But anyway, moving on. We've been talking about Pocky and Rocky Reshrined, and how we're both looking forward to it coming out. Einen Games, who has put out the recent Ninja Saviors physical edition, has confirmed that they are already in line to put out Pocky and Rocky Reshrined. I don't think that's a big surprise, but I'm glad that they immediately said, "Hey, we're putting it out." I particularly am liking that the companies that announce that they are going to do the physical version of a game before the game comes out, because it avoids the double dipping that I've had to endure with certain things. Like River City Girls, like I liked that game a lot, and I ended up having to. I wanted to rebuy it, but I wish I could have only bought it once. You know what I mean? So I don't think they announced the limited edition of that game until later. Limited run version of that until later. So this is a good thing. And Einen Games is great because they are a niche publisher, but they are not like a limited run type of company. They are not like a strictly limited or
actually, speaking of that, Ninja Saviors was strictly limited. Although I think a different company did an ESRB version. Could that have been Einen?
That was them. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I brought that up. The strictly limited put out like the Euro version.
Yes,
essentially
the German version.
Yeah, the German version, but they focused their advertisement on the world, the English-speaking world at large, obviously.
Oh yeah, and their stuff is perfectly English accessible. They even have some English stuff on there. But like they'll have the PEGI rating and stuff like that.
Yeah. A lot of times they don't even have a rating at all, which I don't think is a requirement of that company in particular. I have their Darius collection, and that doesn't have any ratings board info on it. So they did that with a bunch of their releases. So, but yeah, Einen Games puts out really good stuff, and they sell through all the normal outlets, like all the normal retail outlets. Most notably, like they have their own store on Amazon. So you can pre-order their games very easily and get a hold of their games very easily because, of course, Amazon is going to have like a lot of stock of what they're putting out. So, my experience with that company has been so great. I really love everything that they do, and their physical editions are really nice. I've liked. Apparently, Einen has also come out and said that they are putting out a physical copy of a future Wonder Boy collection as well.
Yeah, I heard about that.
We'll have the early Wonder Boy games on it, so I'm really excited about that. So they are just putting out games that, like, I'm specifically interested in, which is really like, what is this, a company by people just like me? Like, it's just like really funny. But yeah. Also, I don't know if you read about this, but hundreds of sealed SNES games were found in a storage facility.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
This week, I just thought that was
like, what was this in, like, Nebraska?
Yeah, something like that. That's really crazy thing. Okay. You never know when you're gonna find a pallet of Hagane.
I don't think that's happening.
But it's really funny when something like that happens, and all of a sudden, like a small flood of a very specific thing comes into the market, and kind of screws it up a little bit.
Yeah, I can't wait to buy Madden 96 or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know if there was any has there been any confirmation of
I have no idea
what the composition of that
I don't know
that would be, but let me take a look at the article really quick. But
yeah, I just read it as a bunch of games were found. Like, whatever, I don't care. We're not seeing them anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think anything crazy is going to be in there, but you never know. And it was probably by somebody who inherited it from like a retail closure or something like that. You know.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff happens. Like a lot of like retail stores, like a manager of maybe like a service, any kind of retail company could have inherited that kind of thing. So. It's pretty interesting. Oh yeah, initial finds were predominantly games like Madden 9 and 4 and NBA Jam, which are already flooding the market.
Yeah, like sports games we don't care about. Except that NBA Jam is more about the fun than like the accurate simulation of basketball. So NBA Jam holds up, but like whatever.
There's still plenty of unopened gems, including Turtles in Time. That's great, and Sunset Riders. Okay. There was an unopened copy of Chrono Trigger in there, but one unopened copy, so it's not
whatever.
It's not like a pallet of them.
And who cares? They're gonna go for $1 million on eBay because people are idiots who'll pay thousands of dollars for fucking whatever.
Yeah, and Chrono Trigger is available right now on Steam. You don't need to, if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, I would like a boxed copy of Chrono Trigger, but like that ship has sailed.
Yeah, exactly. Moving on. Oh, I thought this was really interesting. Apparently, a Korean company is making a new Snow Brothers game,
it's pretty cool.
Snow Brothers
is a solid
remix.
Title.
Yeah, Snow Brothers Special is what it's called. I don't know if anybody remembers this title, but Snow Brothers was made by Taoplan, which is actually a company we've been talking about lately because of their shmups. But this is actually probably, ironically, a more accessible title that probably more people know about than like Tetsujin or any of those shmups that I've talked about.
You rolled up big snowballs and then pushed them, and you tried catching enemies in them, and if you could combo enemies, like hit multiple guys on the way down, then more points for you.
Yeah, it's very similar to Bubble Bobble, but with snowmen that throw snowballs at bad
you get
guys.
Little potions that like make you blow up the snowballs quicker. One of them makes you run faster. It was stuff like that, but the game was surprisingly fun.
Now, the big problem with those titles in particular, is that they're particularly hard to find. So the NES version of Snow Brothers is one of the rarest titles on the system. The Famicom version is no better. If you're thinking that.
And like we just kind of mentioned a second ago, it's not like some rare title that you only care about because it's rare. Like, it's actually a good game.
No, it's a good game. Yeah, no, this is a game that you would want to play from that era. It's like I said, it may even be better than the original Bubble Bobble because it's like more balanced. Like Bubble, this game was also released on the Game Boy. It has a more accessible version on the Game Boy. That I beat, actually, as a little kid because my cousin had it, so I borrowed it a lot. But there's also a very rare version of it on the Mega Drive as well. There's also a very terrifying third game, I think, in the arcade.
Like in the manual or whatever, like the pictures of...
It's not the manual, it's the character select screen. It's very terrifying.
Yeah, the characters are... Well, you would just say terrifying, but they really kind of are.
Yeah, they're basically photorealistic caricatures that have like clown graphics on them. It's very weird looking. Yeah, very very odd. Look that up. It's some nightmare fuel. You would think that it was something like made intentionally to be creepy. But no, well, it might have been, but just like...
Yeah, but it's official.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like... I did this because I thought it would be funny, and I put it on the internet. This is just like, this is what the product was.
Yeah, exactly. You would think that it was like some troll made this in like Microsoft Paint when they were a kid and put it on 4chan or something. But no, this is like a real thing in a real game. But yeah, this is really cool because it has some cool mechanics, and this is a fun game, so I'm looking forward to that. Also, the initial impressions of King of Fighters 15, which we've been leading up to. We've been talking a lot about the characters confirmed for it, and it's getting really good reviews and positive feedback. So I am really looking forward to checking that out when I can. But I'm glad because it's one of those things where I'm not a huge fighting game fan, but like if I have a soft spot, it's for SNK. And SNK is that company that, like, against all odds, is still with us in one form or another, and is still making really good stuff. And they've had their highs and their lows, but their recent output has been really fantastic. They've put out some really good retro revivals. They've rescued Neo Geo Pocket Color games against all odds, and the ones that would have been toughest to get to us, they've managed to get to us. The ones with Capcom rights. So I'm just and against all odds, they made a really good Samurai Showdown game, and there hasn't been a good one of those since the Neo Geo. So to be quite frank, so the fact that it is finally a good one, is really amazing. And I just have been a fan of the last couple King of Fighters games, so I'm really happy for them. Also, I think the last game or the game before that looked positively terrible when it came out, and then eventually they rebounded with a graphics upgrade. Which one was that, Lotus? Was that 14?
KoF.
Yeah, I think it was KoF 14 that looked like a PS1 game basically when it came out, or a PS2 game when it came out, and then they had like a major update like 6 months later that made it look good.
Oh, I don't remember. The main thing I remember was 12 wasn't very well received, or maybe it was 13, but then the next one was.
Yeah, no, 13 was a really good game right off the bat, so it would have been 14. Yeah, 14 had a very bad. It played well, but it looked terrible. That's what it was known for when it came out, and then they fixed it, and then 14 became a respected game, but it had a bad launch. So I'm really happy that this new one is not like that. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, a very cool looking indie game that looks like a lot of fun. It's like a Metroidvania-ish kind of NES looking title, almost like a Shovel Knight-esque looking game called Infernax, is coming out on Switch. It is it looks like a lot of fun, so I kind of wanted to just plug that real quick. That's coming out this week. No, it came out this week, this past week, so I'm happy about that. And Arcade Archives keeps plugging out those rare, kind of rarely seen, rarely talked about shmups, but that I'm all here for. The Thunderdragon 2, that looks really like a lot of fun. I never played that one, but it just looks up my alley. It's from that era that I really like in shmups. And talking about shmups, Soul Cresta will be out on the day that this podcast comes out, the 22nd. So I won't play it right away, of course. I have my limited run games copy on that I'm going to have to wait for, but I'm looking forward to whatever the reaction is, because Platinum putting out a shmup, jeez. Really, really odd, and a sequel to a pretty obscure series in the West. In the East, it's much more popular, I guess, but still funny. Also, Ziggurat just got a sequel. Have you ever heard of Ziggurat, Lotus?
Nope.
So Ziggurat was a roguelite first-person shooter that kind of felt like a lot like Hexen meets first-person shooter meets roguelite. So it's getting a sequel, and it just came out on Switch. So it was pretty popular, like in the hardcore gaming community. People really liked it, so it's pretty cool that a new one came out. Also, this one is yours.
Yeah, Bloodborne PSX. That indie title that is the first area of the game, Central Yarnum, with a surprising amount of extra content after you beat Gascoigne. It got an update. Do you know what's in the update, Vice?
Did they take away the PlayStation intro like I thought they should have?
Nah. This is genuinely going to blow your mind. One more guess?
I can't even begin to think about it.
Split screen co-op.
What?
I think it's local, and it's definitely online.
Like a la Armored Core or whatever from back then? Wow.
Yeah, because old games would have done split screen. So yeah, I always thought that the dev was joking. Like, I'm gonna add split screen support. Like, okay, but they did.
That's really crazy.
That's insane.
So, you know what they could do is they could add support for link cable, to get some really esoteric.
I wish. I think some
on.
Random person online is really making a point of trying to get the game to run on a PlayStation Classic or something, or at least get a PlayStation Classic controller to play it. But I think someone was genuinely trying to see if they could get it working on maybe it was a PS Classic. If they could, then maybe you could do something weird like that.
If Sony and FromSoft were smart about this, they would do what they did with Power Slave, Exhumed, and just kind of hey, why don't you just use this as a a promotional tool, and here, we'll give you a little bit of money, make the whole game and release it on our system. That would be pretty cool.
That'd be awesome, but that person's not making the whole game. Although eventually she's going to release the source code, so if you want to do it, then knock yourself out, but she's fucking done.
I know, but I'm sure if they paid her,
that would be kick-ass. Yeah. Again, especially considering how much shockingly new content there is after you beat Gascoigne that I did not know going in.
I mean, that's a pretty badass extra thing that they could include with a Bloodborne remake, or even just an updated version of Bloodborne with maybe an extra DLC or something. So they should do something like that.
That'd be amazing.
I'm sure FromSoft.
Notice me, Senpai. Get FromSoft in on this.
I would think that FromSoft would be cool about something like that, because they seem scrappy,
Actually,
FromSoft is scrappy.
Speaking of FromSoft seeming cool about this, the Bloodborne PSX dev tweeted out about the Kingsfield Maker tool, that PC thing from 2000. I actually have a copy of that myself. I know the whole gimmick is, it's basically I can't call it source code because it's a PS1 game, but sure, it's the source code for the PC equivalent. But what I did not realize is that apparently they gave you literal license to distribute your Kingsfield creations. So I could theoretically sell my Kingsfield level if I make it on that Maker tool. That's what the fuck. That's unheard of. That's the Toho guy.
Distributing and selling are two different things. So
that's true. I have to look up what the license actually is. But apparently, they're go nuts.
I always took FromSoft as being a bunch of people that were just nerdy, developers just kind of doing their passion.
Well, they would have to be. Look at Kingsfield. It's it's modeled off of those old Western first-person RPGs.
Yeah, exactly. Eye of the Beholder and stuff like that. So
yeah, kind of, yeah.
And Ultimate Underworld and all that crap. So
yep.
I just think that they could be doing a little bit of something with this, because like I said, a lot of fan projects aren't this good, and
this is one. Well, it was basically three people. The game was almost entirely made by one person. A different person did the music, and a third person contributed something that I won't say because it's in the second half.
Oh, okay. Cool. Well, I'm sure the people in the know will get it.
I mean, look at the credits and you'll see. It's so funny that I already mentioned this, but the credits of the game include, shout out to awesome, actual Bloodborne this was based on, which was made by these people. So it's the entire 12-minute credit sequence, but this is following Bloodborne PSX's credit sequence, which is a few people. It's there you go, credits are over.
Well, kind of the last couple things I wanted to talk about are our movie stuff, but this is just floors me that Sega has the hubris here for this, but they have already announced that Sonic is going to be a trilogy even before the second movie has been released. Yeah,
I don't really I mean, the first movie was well received, but I don't like it when companies do this.
Yeah, so I mean, they don't know how the second movie's going to be received, or whether it'll do well, or even whether people will like it or not. Yeah.
By the way, here's my prediction for the movie. You know how, like, the second movie isn't even out yet, but you know how a lot of the headline about that movie, just because it's very quotable, you know how Idris Elba's gonna be Knuckles, but he's like, Knuckles is not gonna be sexy, like anybody was actually expecting that to happen. But like, Knuckles is not gonna be sexy. So Sonic 3, Knuckles gets sexy. It's gonna happen, guys. Mark my words.
Oh, but you know the way the third game is gonna be, or the third movie is gonna be. They're just gonna add more stupid friends, because they're adding Tails and
the third movie is gonna be authentic to the video game, where Knuckles just shows up and does a silent laugh, and then punches you or pulls a switch and then water comes up and you're like, oh, come on.
I was actually going to say, no, they're going to get Michael Jackson to secretly do the music and then you won't be able to access...
Yeah, then you can't watch the movie.
The movie ever.
Yeah, the movie will be theater only, like you won't be able to distribute it on
streaming service. Theater only.
God damn it. No, they're going to bring in Vector and SBO.
Sonic and his stupid friends.
Charmy the Bee. I can't wait to see Charmy the Bee. I think
the most egregious is Cream and the bunny and her stupid Chow.
Cream is the bunny. The Chow, like, wasn't there some name where like it goes?
Cream or
it might have been. Was it Cookie and Cream? Because I know that's the FromSoft game, but it was something like that where it's like the names go together.
Yeah. I mean, I'm okay with Blaze the Cat, I guess, but you know, like eventually.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Blaze. Yeah, and there's
Big the Cat, everyone's favorite.
Somehow I forgot Big the Cat, and that was in a game I actually played.
Froggy.
Yeah. Voiced by John St. John, Mr. Duke Nukem himself.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, it seems like the Sonic community has really latched onto the movie and they really like it. It kind of bugs me that there is a Sonic community. Like it's. That community is very vast, and I think it's a lifestyle company rather than, or community rather than a fans of a video game. Like
go watch
really
the Sonic Boom show. That show looks legitimately good.
Well, yeah, I just find it funny that like these people wrap their entire identity around like these.
Well, Vice,
Sonic.
If you could be a Sonic animal, which one would you be?
Vice the Hedgehog.
Quick, go to DeviantArt and look up your name, the Hedgehog, and see what happens. I found mine, and it was. I actually can't find it on DeviantArt anymore. I had to go like via a Google image search to find someone's niche page, but like that was some picture.
Mine was probably as best as I could get it. Like there was a Lotus the Hedgehog, but no.
I used my name.
Yeah, my real name.
Hedgehog.
Yeah. My real name, the Hedgehog. Like was clad in leather and looked kind of cool. So like...
my guy was green instead of blue, but like the picture he was like sensually like I think he was like wearing like a strawberry or something. He was just like it was like a sexy. I was like, okay, well, I'm glad I looked that up.
Yeah, I think like I said, I think it's more about the furry thing than it is about the actual thing. Which I guess that if that's good for you, but
you know what the true you the Hedgehog is in Sonic Forces, I think, where you play as an OC.
Oh yeah, an OC, yeah. Don't steal.
And you can cross over with
I guess my problem with it is that
it's the most weird thing.
If you're into furry stuff, why Sonic? Like
because
you know what I mean?
He's got an attitude, Vice. He's so cool.
There are a lot of other more appealing anthropomorphic things out there that you can model your identity off of.
Yeah, but did you grow up with those?
Yes, like I don't know, like a Gadget from Chip and Dale
from Rescue Rangers.
I mean, like there's some sexual awakening kind of things.
Oh, speaking of which, by the way, did you see the trailer for the upcoming?
I was gonna mention that just because I mentioned that, but yeah,
it's
John
like,
Mulaney.
I don't know if it's Rescue Rangers canon because it's like a meta thing.
Yeah, so was it John Mulaney and Seth Rogen?
Yeah, which is clever for that kind of movie, but it's like, who is this for?
I mean, I'll watch it. I mean, I it looks like fun to me. So, I'll preface this that there have been some decent like retro revivals of cartoons in movie form lately, and the Tom and Jerry movie was surprisingly good. I heard that Space Jam wasn't that great, so I didn't waste my time with it. So, but Tom and Jerry was good. So, and that it's that style. It's like what would these characters be like in the real world, dealing with like a more real issue.
And that kind of seems to be what's going on. By the way, speaking of which, one thing about Rescue Rangers that's really off-putting, like on purpose, is that like one of them is CG and the other seems more traditionally animated.
Yeah.
So there's this disparity between their whole aesthetic. Like it's a clever idea, but it is bizarre.
They might even do like a class thing having to do with that, but
Yeah,
I don't know what they're
3D,
thinking.
I got smooth modern CG, and you're like rotoscoped or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. So like the 2D one is Dale, I think, and Chip is 3D. One of the things that looks pretty like Seth Green Seth
Rogen
in it looks really funny, but I'm really liking the look of it so far. I know that what's pretty cool about it is that I at least know that there is a cameo of Roger Rabbit in there, which he hasn't really been around much, so he is not a character that is owned by Disney. A lot of people don't know that, but he's like,
owned by Bob Hoskins.
He's dead. But no, he's owned by the guy who wrote the novel that Who Framed Roger Rabbit is based off of.
Yeah, what was that called? It was like
Who Censored Roger Rabbit is the original novel.
Oh, Who Framed? There it is. Okay.
Who Censored?
Who Censored? Okay.
Yeah, because the in the book they aren't cartoons; they are comics.
Oh.
So somebody took his ability to speak away, and that is the mystery, not Who Framed.
Huh.
There are 3 of those books, and the writer is actually a pretty cool guy. But but the character the framing device of like the private eye noir type thing is still there. So the Eddie Valiant kind of thing is still there. But I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, this one I'm not quite sure about. So Quiet Place 3 was announced. I liked the first one a lot. Do you know Quiet Place, Lotus? I actually think you would like it quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, quiet a bit. But I get the idea.
It's a really suspenseful, movie, based off of its gimmick, which is that the aliens are attracted to sound and are blind, but they are awful if they know where you are. The first movie was very good and very tense and very touching. The second movie has some really good stuff going on. The problem is they don't really push the narrative forward or do things that are a lot different than the first movie, even though it is good. It's just a lot of a kind of a retread, but there are really good sequences in there, but it's using the same ideas of the first movie. So I'm a little and the first movie also has probably the tensest thing I've ever seen in a horror movie, which is the main female character has to give birth completely silent.
That fucking sucks.
While an alien that can detect her via sound is in the same room with her. Good luck with that in real life. It's the most painful thing that a human basically has to go through. And be completely silent during it. And also, baby is going to make sound when it's born too. So, most babies cry when they are born. So, that was a really awesome and fantastic scene in the original movie. And I don't think you could top that, like in terms of like that particular.
Au contraire, Vice. 2 women have to give birth.
A whole maternity ward.
What a contrived scene.
That would be so angering if they did that. It would just be a parody.
What if the entire town was giving birth at the same time?
Yeah. What, with tap shoes on? No, but like, you see what I'm saying? Like, what could possibly be more tense than that? Nothing.
Well, that in space.
Actually, being in space would be helpful because nothing can hear you scream.
Yeah, that'd be ideal, in fact.
You'd be okay. But yeah. But yeah, I as much as I like the second movie, it could have been like part of a TV series or something, but like as a sequel, it doesn't add much. But it's a good addition, but it's not necessary, you know what I mean? It's not like a sequel that like did something new and different.
You have to see how the series evolves.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing, but with some different slightly different situations, but by and large the first movie did the thing, you know? So making it into a trilogy, like I guess maybe they could reveal more, backstory about what those aliens are. But like again, less is more with
I was
that
gonna
kind
say,
of thing.
do you really want to know?
I don't want to know. These are aliens that came to Earth and started killing everyone.
It's fine. Yeah,
it's fine. I understand that. So it's like Signs, but instead of water, it's water's the gimmick. This time it's sound. But it's sound related. But anything else before we end the show here, Lotus?
No, I'm good, I think.
Okay, so that is the show for this week. Please remember to subscribe to the Corrective Consciousness YouTube and SoundCloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. That helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Thursday for our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, where we will be talking about games that you should absolutely get on 3DS and Wii U while you still can. The digital services, that is. And finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on Steam, PSN, Xbox Live, and Twitter, and pretty much everything else.
And you could follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, like House of Ashes, getting in on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, or getting in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
That's just Prime. We'll catch everybody soon then on Thursday.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye-bye.